All right, I'm Steve from Boyko. We built that small sewer pumping station down at the, I don't know what.
Near the maintenance building.
Near the maintenance building, okay? We provided the control panel and built the station with the flight pumps that these guys provided for us. I don't know, have any of you been in the station, looked inside and seen the control panel, where it is? All right. For you guys, it should be a breeze because you deal with this stuff all day long with the big stuff. It's 2 3-horsepower pumps, small little station, okay? One small control panel, basically. There's 4 floats in the pit, low water float, off float, start float, and a lag float switch. That's it. Normally you're in the first 3 floats. The low water float's always floating all the time, unless for some reason something happens inside that station, that water gets down below the off float switch, starter hangs up or something, you get down to low water, you're going to get an alarm. Where is the alarm? The alarm shows up on the outside of that building. There's a beacon light. When that thing's flashing, going off, you have a problem on that control panel. Pilot lights on the front of the control panel is going to tell you what the alarm is, whether it's a low water alarm, whether it's a high water alarm, whether the pump has gone into a fault, okay? Those particular pumps are set up so that if they trip out on overload, you get a rag cord in there. They're just submersible pumps. Sometimes you get a rag cord in there, if something gets in there, locks up one of those pumps, the pump trips out on overload, you go into a fault. The alarm light will go off. Go to the panel, what the hell's the problem? I got a fault light on pump number 1. Why do I have a fault light? The overload's tripped out. Why is the overload tripped out? 99% of the time there's something jammed in the pump. Not always, but most of the time. Basically, and I guess that they're going to take you guys down to look at the control panel and the pump station after this, unless I miss my guess, right? There's like 4 things on the control panel you guys ever really have to worry about. 2 handoff auto switches, 1 for each pump, 2 elapsed time meters. Nothing really to do other than to look at them to see. I mean, I was there this morning, like one pump's got like 400 hours on it, the other's got like, I don't know, 100 and change or 200 and change. And there's 2 buttons on there. One's an acknowledge button, and one is a reset button. If you get an alarm that goes up, let's say you get a high water alarm. This particular control panel is set up that only 1 pump can ever run at a time, even in hand position. If you put pump number 1 in hand and you go to throw pump number 2 in hand, pump number 1 will stay on hand, pump number 2 won't come on. Don't know why they designed it that way, but that's the way the specs were on this job. They only ever have 1 pump running at a time, so you can never have 2 pumps. You can't go throw both those pumps in hand and expect to have 2 pumps run. It's not going to happen. Only 1 will come on at a time and run. Even in automatic position, let's say pump number 1 is the lead pump. There's an alternator built in here, so they're constantly changing. Pump 1, pump 2, pump 1, pump 2. After every cycle, it switches over. But even in automatic position, let's say something happens to pump number 1. Something jams inside it. The level gets to the high level because pump number 1's not running. You get up to high level on that pump, you're going to get an alarm, first of all. High level alarm. There's no horn, so you won't hear it, but visually that beacon light on the outside of that station is going to go off. And there's an alarm light on the front of the panel that's going to tell you high alarm. What happens is once you get into an alarm condition, it automatically switches to the second pump. So in other words, you get a high water alarm. If you were on pump number 1, something happened to pump 1, you get the high water alarm. It's going to take pump 1 off the line. It's going to put pump number 2 on the line. Pump number 2 is going to work it. But that alarm won't clear itself. Even if the pump station pumps back down to normal level on pump number 2, the light's still going to be flashing, so you know that there was a problem there. Go down to the panel and say, hey, what the hell's my, what's my problem? Most of the time what people do when there's a problem, they get on the phone and they say, Boyko, I got a problem with my control panel. There's nothing in there really, unless you want to get down to component levels, anybody's ever going to fix. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's a relay, whether it's a sensor. Sometimes it's a float switch. Sometimes it's something jammed in the pump. Sometimes it's the pump itself. I don't, sometimes it's the pump itself.
First place we load.
You're looking for bodies in the pit.
Question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Is the panel wired to like a PLC, so if nobody sees the alarm light, a central location will know that the alarm light?
There's dry contacts that are slated in there to go to some remote location. I do not believe as of yet they have tied those alarm wires in, but it's capable of doing that, okay? Wherever they want to send these alarms to, if they have a remote monitoring facility or in this plant somewhere, okay?
So they can use a dialer too if they wanted to?
They could use a dialer off those dry contacts. They could use anything that they wanted because the dry contacts are there. I don't believe as of this moment right now that those dry contacts are tied in.
Because the alarm goes off at night, even though it's flashing, something may not be seen.
That's true. And the other thing is too,
it will not be seen.
On a nice sunny day, we haven't had too many of those lately, but on a nice sunny day, a lot of times, it's hard to see the beacon light because there's no horn associated
Why
with
didn't
it.
they have an audible with it?
I don't know. They didn't call for a horn, they just asked for, you know, the beacon light. But I agree with you, a lot of times you put the beacon with the horn, you know what I'm saying? And that way they know, you know? And they can go to the panel and you can acknowledge the alarm on the panel, you can acknowledge it. And what's going to happen is, if the alarm is still existing, the pilot light on the front of the panel is still going to tell you what the alarm is, but that beacon light's going to go off. If you had a horn associated with it, you'd shut the horn off at least so it's not blaring in people's ears, but you know you still have a problem.
But it catches somebody's attention, the horn.
The horn does catch someone's attention. Like I'm saying, in the middle of daylight, sun shining on that beacon, you could possibly have an alarm. You wouldn't know it because you can't see it. That station's been running now for about 6 months. I started it up back in December. It's been online now for 6 months. Like I said, there's like 400 hours on one and something like 200 on the other. I haven't heard a complaint. I haven't seen an alarm. There was no alarms on it this morning. You know, pretty trouble-free type of station. Isn't that a hell of a lot that you're going to have to really do on it? As far as maintenance on the thing, there is no maintenance per se on the control panel itself, and I don't know about, you know, Phil will tell you about the pumps themselves, but I don't know. You're not going to be pulling pumps up and performing maintenance on them, I wouldn't suspect.
Well, you should do preventive maintenance every 6 months. Check the oil in the pump,
Yeah.
Make sure that it's clear. If it's not, you just change the oil, like in an automobile. Other than that, there's really not much else to do. My service manager's on his way. He'll get more technical with it, but technical is really easy. I just don't want to give you phony, false information. I'm sales. These are small pumps, just a little bit bigger than what you put in your basement.
They're 3 horsepower pumps, they're not that big.
Yeah.
Although, yeah, I would think you'd be hard pressed to try to pull it out of that pit by hand.
What's a 3085 weigh? 75, 80 pounds or so. I mean,
He's on rails?
They're on rails.
two guys.
We got some 3.8s out back.
2 guys could lift it up if you had to. And they're on rails, so they slide right up and out. Nothing much to it. And you have a spare pump, so if pump goes down, just put the spare in, send the bad one over to us, and we'll take care of it for you. It's all under warranty for 5 years, so pretty easy. It's not like those big propeller pumps that we talked about months ago out in the IR tanks. That's a different story. But you've already been trained in that and you're all experts, so we don't have to go there.
Anybody got any questions, anything that I can answer, tell you about it? Probably better when you see it, you know, down there. Really, basically, there's not a hell of a lot to it. I mean, you know, it pretty much runs itself as far as the controls. Again, unless it gets into a problem, and then it's going to tell you on the front of the panel what the problem is. And they can do, you know, call us up or, you know, I guess attempt to fix it yourself. We have to warranty the station for the first year. Boyco warranties the station for the first year. We started up in December, so up until December, if there's a problem, we just call up, we send somebody out, probably myself, for all I know, and you know, take a look at it and fix it. But like I said, we started it up in December. It's been running 6 months.
Where you guys from?
We're out of East Providence, so it takes about an hour to drive up here. It's not a big deal. The only problem is usually when there's problems, everything seems to happen around 3 o'clock on Friday. You know what I mean? And it wouldn't just be here, it would be like everywhere. And up until 2:30, no one calls. At 3 o'clock, there's 4 different calls, and everybody's got a problem.
We try to be out of here,
I don't know.
That won't happen again.
I'm ready to go.
I don't know what else I can
That's
tell you
okay.
about that panel.
The hatch.
Yes,
Okay,
We don't
you
want
guys
to call it
furnished the hatch
405.
cover.
Yes.
Two of our
Is it
guys
watertight?
pulled the pump, but it's probably one.
I think it has a,
Where it's going that.
drain.
It has a drain around it?
Yes, yes,
Because my only concern is that if we have a 100-year storm
yeah,
and the pit fills up,
yeah.
you can only have one pump running at a time. You can't even have 2 to keep up with the influent.
That's right, and you know, that was a consideration when we were looking at this, but then again, that's the way
That's
they,
the way that
that's the way it was designed,
Yeah.
from their engineering.
Yeah.
They probably,
Say they on video.
CDM.
Like
only-
everything else.
That's what they said. Okay.
it's not like they don't have the capacity.
It's
to
all,
do it.
it's
Say
all
no
I'm
more.
saying.
Say
That's
no
all I'm
more.
saying.
We had a 100-year storm 3 years ago.
Yeah, we did.
So we're all set.
Water running on the
Doesn't have to go
A lot of
full-
stations
full-
being designed now, they're taking into consideration a 100-year storm. Like, look at Katrina down in New Orleans. What if that happens up here? It could. So you prepare for it. So you have both pumps on at the same time. It's no big deal.
These pumps draw 4.8 amps apiece.
And it's nothing.
So I mean, why they wouldn't want to have both pumps come on at the same time, but
Hey.
that's the way they
In the
design
future,
it.
can-
All our other flight panels come on that way.
That's
If
right.
one can't keep up,
The other
second
one
one
comes
goes on.
And 99% of the stations we do, it's exactly the same thing. You got a lead and you have a lag. Only in this case here, it is lead lag, but when that lag pump comes on, it locks that lead out. It's more difficult for them to make the panel that way too, so it's a lot easier just to do lead lag. But because that's what they asked for, that's the way they designed it. And Controller Sales and Service out of Providence built this control panel for us, okay? And they asked that same question when they were designing. Are you sure that's what they want? Well, we go back to the specifications and we read it. It said only one pump will be allowed to run at a time.
Can that
There
be
you go.
rewired in the future?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Very
We
easy.
can do
Good.
anything.
It's a change on it.
We'll get them on the way back.
Not a change on
Okay,
it.
next time.
Sheetrock.
how we get you. That's how we get you.
Hey.
That's about all I can tell you on it.
You can talk about
Jump
that
it
a
out.
little bit?
Go ahead.
Everything else savings though. Jump it up.
You know?
No, there is, no, it's just, it's a dual hatch on that.
There's no grate in there?
No.
safety?
No, there's no grade on the hatch.
Yeah.
Surprised it's not.
There is no safety on that hatch. No.
Should we turn
No,
key,
there
it's
is no
up to
net.
state.
Should have been all set up that way.
A lot of it used to.
Obviously what they told me.
Yeah, it had to be.
Like that.
I know
Got
it's,
two more
this is a
changeovers.
big job, but, I mean, a big project, right? Just cut the corners. Safety grade is like $100.
There you go.
Do it again.
$100 an hour.
Yeah, they can only do what they want.
Okay, the hatch on this pump station, I've just been told, it's considered watertight, there's a drain around it, so any rainwater or anything won't fill the pit up. But there's no safety grate in there or net or anything. CDM, I guess, didn't specify that. So if any of you are working on it, you open that hatch, please be careful. If it's slippery and you fall in there, you don't want to fall in there.
We had a problem when we first started the station up. We started the station up, and a few days later we got a call and they said, you got a problem with one of the pumps, one of your pumps. So we come out, and to check it out, it kept tripping on overload. And what I noticed that when we had come out here the first day for the start, the guys had a rope, they had a rope around it so people wouldn't be falling into the pit, I guess.
It's just a rope.
Just a rope, okay? About, I don't know, 3/8 inch in diameter rope. When we came up, when they had the problem, the rope wasn't around it anymore. The rope was gone. They said, what the hell's jamming the pump? Well, guess what? When we pulled the pump up, we found out what was jamming the pump. The rope that used to be up top going around was in the pump. Okay? That rope somehow miraculously came from up top down inside that pump. And it took them about 20 minutes to dig that baby out. And it was the rope that was up on top. And I had pictures of it the day, 3 days before with the rope on top. Then I took pictures of it with the rope and the pump.
Yeah.
I don't know. So if you're gonna go in there and you have to put a rope around it, when you're done, don't throw it back in the pit.
Don't throw in the water.
Toilet water.
Used to get water from the sumps.
I don't know what it's-
Incinerator buildings.
What's that?
Used to go over
He
there.
asked if it was an end pump.
It was not the toilets.
No.
But these sumps.
The sumps.
Right.
Any questions, guys?
Yeah, that's it.
Any questions at all?
Yeah.
I guess Randy wants us to go down to the pump station, take a look,
Yeah.
touch and feel.
So you can actually work on it? Yeah.
Was it made out of wood? 4 things on this panel you only have to worry about. The handoff autos for each pump, and these 2 buttons right here. One's an acknowledge, one's a reset. If you get an alarm, let's say we go into a high water alarm on here, okay? You're gonna get high level light. All these are push to test so you can make sure that the bulbs still work on, all right? So every once in a while, if somebody wants to come down and just press the buttons to make sure that when you get, because if you've got an alarm light going off outside and you've got nothing on the board, what the hell alarm is it? You know what I'm saying? As long as the bulbs are still good, you're gonna get the alarm. But like I was telling you upstairs, if I put number 1 in hand right now and she's running, I can't run number 2 because it's designed only to run 1. If I put number 2 in hand, I can't run number 1. It's locked out. It won't let me go. Same thing's going to happen if you go into a high level alarm. It's going to take whichever pump was the lead pump. Let's say number 1 was the one that was running. You get a high level alarm. You'll get your light here. Your beacon light outside is going to flash, and you'll switch over to pump number 2. Now, assuming there's nothing wrong with pump number 2 will take it and pump it down. But your beacon won't clear until somebody physically comes in here and resets it. The difference between the acknowledge button and the reset button. Acknowledge is if you have an alarm. If you come down here and you press the acknowledge button, it's going to do one thing only. It'll stop that beacon light from flashing outside. But your light will stay on your panel to tell you what it is. Until you've cleared the problem in the panel, then reset, and everything should go back to normal again. If you come up here and you hit the reset button, but you haven't cleared the alarm, as soon as you take your finger off it again, it's going to relight. It'll go out when you press it, but the problem's going to come right back again. And then you have to take care of what the problem is, whether it's a clogged pump or there's a float switch problem or whatever. And again, 4 float switches, 1 controls low alarm. That one normally stays floating all the time because you never normally get down to there unless there was a problem and the pump continued to run. Starter locked in or something and the pump continued to run. You'll get a low alarm. High alarm, obviously you got high water. It'll switch over to the other pump, whichever pump is not on at that time. The only other thing that they have in here on these pumps, they have a sensor, a mini cast sensor they call it. It's looking for over temperature or seal leak on the pump itself. These 2 lights here, over temp seal leak for pump 1, over temperature seal leak for pump 2, all controlled by that mini cast relay that's inside the panel here. Let me open this up. That's controlled by these 2 relays right here. It's just sensors inside the pump. If you get one of these lights to light, okay, it'll automatically